want you guys to take a look at this disgusting piece of propaganda out of People magazine, big surprise there, about the abortion restrictions in Texas. Texas woman nearly loses her life after doctors can't legally perform an abortion. Their hands were tied. Amanda Zarowski was 18 weeks pregnant and out walking near her home in Austin, Texas, when she felt abnormal discharge and what felt like water running down my leg. She made an appointment with her doctor, but wasn't too worried. I was fairly certain that I'd be told this was normal, Amanda tells People exclusively. I fully expected them to send me home and all would be fine, but it turned out that her doctor had difficult news. Amanda had an incompetent cervix and had dilated too early. She was told that miscarriage was inevitable. That was horrific, she says, of that day in August. I crumbled. Unfortunately, the couple would be going through more pain in the days ahead. The near total ban on abortion in Texas meant that the doctors couldn't do anything to remove the unviable fetus. I want you to remember this fetus is still fully alive and well. The unviable fetus, unless Amanda's life was at risk. She would either have to get sick enough for doctors to intervene or miscarry on her own. And Amanda and Josh had no way of knowing how long they'd have to suffer. It could be days, it could be weeks. And knowing that we just had to live with that was incapacitating, Amanda says. I was unable to function. I didn't work, I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. I was left wanting to either get so sick that I almost died or praying for my baby's heart to stop beating. Now, I want you to listen to what I just said again, okay? This mother of an 18-week-old baby was praying for her baby's heart to stop beating. Now, of course, as some of you know, as a lot of you know, I went through the exact same experience as Amanda. I had an incompetent cervix. My baby was in a lot of danger, but unlike the situation here, she survived, and now I have a very beautiful, healthy 3-month-old baby girl. Now, what really bothers me about this story is they are taking a story about gross negligence on the part of these doctors, whoever this woman's team was, and instead blaming the outcome of her pregnancy on a lack of abortion access. What should have happened with Amanda after her water broke and they discovered she had an incompetent cervix was she should have been admitted to the hospital where she could be monitored very closely for infection, where she could have replenished her fluids to keep her amniotic fluid levels up, and her baby could have had a fighting chance to live. But instead, what happened was her doctors told her that the only outcome for her was that her baby was going to die, and because they couldn't perform an abortion on her without her being sick, she would probably die as well. This is the level of evil these people will go to convince people that the most important thing in the world for women's healthcare is abortion. What also really bothers me is this idea that when a woman is carrying a pregnancy, if even the slightest thing goes wrong with her pregnancy, the first thing she should consider is killing her baby, and that if there's any chance in hell that there will be any ill effects on her own body, that she should jump at the chance to abort her baby. To the extent that these doctors convinced this woman, I want you to think about the level of brainwashing for a doctor to convince a woman to pray for her child's heart to stop beating, which when I had my incompetent cervix and went through the complete nightmare that my pregnancy was, my biggest nightmare was the thought of my baby's heart stopping. That was the biggest nightmare. I went to sleep every night worried about that. I woke up, I lived every single day of that entire 7 months of my pregnancy, terrified that my baby's heart would stop beating. And the brainwashing is just so complete in this woman's mind that she was praying for her baby to die, on the off chance that she might get an infection. Now, of course, because of this gross negligence, they sent this woman home with her waters broken and with her cervix dilated, and she developed sepsis. Because doctors weren't able to perform an abortion, Amanda was at risk for infection. She became sick with sepsis, a life-threatening condition. By the time she went to the hospital 3 days later to deliver her baby, she was feverish and weak. She's the toughest person I know in the world, and for her to start crumbling before me, I knew there was something serious going on. I don't really know. I don't know these people personally, so I don't want to make any assumptions. But if your first instinct is to kill your baby in a difficult situation, I would say tough isn't necessarily the word I would use for you. But it's hard to blame people when they've been so extensively brainwashed by doctors. When I had my incompetent cervix, a doctor did tell me that my baby's death and a miscarriage was completely inevitable, and that I should go home and wait for my baby to die. And if it weren't for a doctor who intervened and told me that there's no reason that my baby wouldn't survive, I don't believe she would be alive today. So I'd be in the same situation as Amanda here. She says she's going to use this story of her child to now fight for abortion rights. Instead of taking this horrendous story about negligence in the medical system to fight for better health care for women, she's going to fight for more dead babies. Very sad for her and very sad for her baby. As you guys know, my water broke a little bit later in my pregnancy. I wasn't 18 weeks, I was 26 weeks, but I did have an incompetent cervix all the way through. Now, of course, there are other stories of women whose water broke at a very early stage of 18 weeks, and they fought for something a little less selfish. They fought for their baby's survival, and the baby survived. Here's a story here that I quickly pulled up. This woman's water broke at 17 weeks, and she still was able to give birth to a healthy baby. 17 weeks, 1 week before Amanda's baby. Tara Vigorino knew something was off when she woke up at 17 weeks pregnant in a puddle of fluid. I thought I had peed the bed, she tells Self, but she called her OBGYN, who recommended that she go to the emergency room. There, the news she received wasn't great. Vigorino, 32, was told that her amniotic fluid level was extremely low and her baby's health was in danger. Essentially, doctors explained her water had broken, a phenomenon that doesn't usually happen until a woman is going into labor, typically at week 40. Vigorino experienced a condition known as preterm premature rupture, PPROM, which is what I had and which is what Amanda had as well, of the membrane, and was told by hospital doctors that her baby had no chance of survival. I was a basket of emotions, Vigorino says. It was not at all what I was expecting to hear. While doctors recommended that she terminate the pregnancy, okay, I want you to see the parallels here, recommended that she terminate the pregnancy, they also said she should go home and wait for the miscarriage to happen, also what I was told. And that's what Vigorino and her husband decided to do. Since Vigorino didn't want to terminate the pregnancy, her OBGYN recommended going on bed rest and drinking fluids to try to get her amniotic fluids up. Once a week, she would visit her OBGYN to see how the baby was doing. Laying in bed rest, not knowing day to day whether your baby still has a heartbeat, you're just hoping the next appointment won't be bad. Okay, so I want you to look at the parallels, right? We have one woman talking about how her water broke and she was praying for her baby to die, and doctors were telling her that her only chance was to terminate her pregnancy, and now she's fighting for more women to be able to do the same. And then we have this woman in the exact same situation. Water breaks, doctors tell her her baby's going to die. And instead of praying for her baby's heart to stop, she says, I was laying on bed rest, not knowing day to day whether your baby still has a heartbeat, just hoping the next appointment won't be bad. Okay, so the juxtaposition is pretty wild. Eventually, Vigorino's doctor recommended that she visit a doctor at the Cleveland Clinic who specialized in high-risk pregnancies. There, Vigorino was told that if she made it to 23 weeks, when the fetus is considered to have a better chance to make it, doctors could do more. She made it and was hospitalized at 23 weeks. While in the hospital, Vigorino received steroid shots to help her baby's lungs develop faster and stayed on bed rest through to 31 weeks when doctors determined it was better to deliver the baby than for Vigorino to continue carrying him. So, same story, complete opposite outcome. Is it ever necessary when you have an incompetent cervix or PPROM to murder your baby? Absolutely not. There's a very good chance that your baby could survive, and there's also a chance that your baby could die, but you could miscarry naturally. We live in this very strange world where we're now at the point of just complete convenience. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to spend, as she says in the article, every single day was a nightmare. Yeah, every single day of parenting is a nightmare. and you're supposed to spend the rest of your life protecting that baby, not taking the easy way out. You know, even this idea that a woman has to get sick, like it's this horrible thing. A woman has to get sick in order for her to abort her baby. If one thing goes wrong and she's not sick, she doesn't have that instant convenience of being able to kill the baby as a precautionary measure. I mean, who's killing babies as a precaution? If a doctor told me that I couldn't abort my baby until they saw signs of infection, I'd be like, yeah, I hope so. I hope you're not going to kill my baby as a precautionary measure. Stories like this, they really bother me because, you know, up until these abortion bans, the main argument was that women should be able to abort as many babies as they want. My body, my choice. I should be able to do whatever I want. I didn't consent to have this little parasite living in my body. And now that these bans have taken place, it's all about all these wholesome, beautiful, wonderful women who wanted their babies and had to abort them, and because they didn't, they almost died. It's really weird to see the shift in the narrative. It almost seems like a little bit manipulative. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, if you want women to be able to kill babies whenever they want up until birth, just say that. We don't have to come up with all these silly little stories about how all of a sudden women can't naturally miscarry, how it's the worst thing in the world to expect a woman to just naturally miscarry a baby. A doctor needs to intervene. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is ridiculous? Do you think these are real stories? Do you think Amanda's even a real person? Or was she paid for this propaganda piece? I mean, it's terribly sad to see women being manipulated this way. But let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.